This morning we're going to talk about this very unhealthy hillside in San Francisco, just overtaken with terrible invasive plants. And you can tell by looking at it how unhealthy it is. Of course, that's a lot of sarcasm, some dry humor there. One of the many things that stands out to me after being in other locations and being able to see something as healthy as this is the fact that no water is used. There's no human interference. That's a sticky monkey flower, by the way. Beautiful native flowering plant. And guess what it's growing in? Coyote brush. Interweaving nicely. Several different species interweaving here. It is a healthy mosaic of plants. Right there we have some coffeeberry flowering. Tall California figwort on the left. Let me show you a close-up of the figwort's tiny little flowers, also known as bee plant. Once again, just one of many native species in here that are interacting with each other in a positive way. We'll come back to why I'm emphasizing that so much, but for now, let's identify some of these plants. I've got common yarrow growing up out of coyote brush there. Again, you see some more monkey flower. We have some bush lupin and some more California figwort growing in there. More coyote brush. Man. Oh, Indian paintbrush. What a beauty. And that is growing next to a tansy that is all coming out of coyote brush, next to some more lupin. Oh, and we have a caterpillar. I got to tell you, how sad is it that I have to get excited to see a caterpillar now? I remember growing up, they were all over the place. It was hard to walk without stepping on one. And that was in Kansas. Now I'm in California and it's hard to find a caterpillar. That should probably be alarming to people. Look at all of these colors. We got coyote brush in the middle, but you've got two different species of lupin. You've got seaside daisy, you've got yarrow, and again we've got a larger Indian paintbrush, the reddish color. That's the seaside daisy directly to its left. And there's golden yarrow. Again, more coyote brush, more seaside daisy. I can see some sticky monkey flower, more tansy, more lupin. And it's all intermixed with coyote brush. There's some more seaside daisy, and now we pan down to the lupin and Indian paintbrush. Look at all that. Look at the different yellows. You know what I have found is that while California's native plants are colorful, they're not like, bam, like, hey, look at me. They're just kind of subtly providing the color. There we have three different shades of yellow. We got the lupin, and this is golden yarrow. The other one's yarrow also, even though there's the lupin, and then even though that looked like a different shade, this is a deeper yellow. It's still yarrow. This is all beneficial. No work required. There's bee plant in the foreground, coyote brush behind it, more yarrow. Trying to get a shot of the tiny little flowers on the bee plant with that coyote brush in the background. There's the yarrow. All of it is obviously working positively with the coyote brush. Oh, and there is California blackberry with berries on it. Again, native. All in harmony and all benefiting native wildlife. I finally turned the background sound back on so you can hear some of the... Oh, and there goes a flock of pelicans. Here's a closer shot of bee plant closest to the camera in California blackberry and coyote brush. And here we have narrowleaf plantain, which I do find up north. Man, so many varieties. All of them beneficial. A different look at California bee plant. Some very unique flowers, kind of different. That might not be the prettiest bee plant I could have chosen. Just look at that hillside. There we go. I'm obsessed with getting a good shot of the bee plant today. The flowers are just really different. Yarrow bee plant. We're about to see a species of Phacelia that I hadn't seen until I found it on this hillside. This is branching Phacelia. So many species interacting and living harmoniously here on this hillside. Suddenly we come to an area that is not nearly as healthy with native plants as everything else I've been filming. We have curly dock, we have poison hemlock, we have slender oats, we have Italian thistle. Wow, I mean, things went from great to pretty bad. But when I say pretty bad, what I'm really saying is what the vast majority of California's hillsides look like now. Because, shall I even finish it or shall I let you finish it? Because we insist on continuing to manage, we insist on continuing to graze, etc., etc. If you had to guess, because all that area where it's too thick for humans to go through is free of this problem. What's different right here? Highly concentrated use area for human beings. And what do invasive plants like? They like disturbance. Who else might be tracking problem plants through here, helping distribute problem plants through here? Now, if you have a different hypothesis as to why magically things turned bad here, I'd like to hear it. Once again, everything I filmed before that was magnificently full of native plants doesn't have this problem and is, I won't say impenetrable, but discouraging enough that people simply don't go there. And nature has had the opportunity to heal itself. When I say heal itself, of course, the history of California is ranching, is military use of land. Between the two of those, there's some pretty serious abuse. Here we have an area that the remnants of those problems still exist. But at least there's hope. There's a fighting chance here. And now we come to the real point, because the terrible, embarrassing, inaccurate, and irresponsible journalism of Bay Nature, stating that while ranchers are leaving, land is suddenly being invaded by poison hemlock and these other things. No. Poison hemlock and those things come with ranch land, come with human disturbance. The author at Bay Nature magazine did not bother to find out a date or a time when these ranch lands supposedly went from not having the problem plants to having them. Can't even provide a date that they went out and looked for themselves. Cannot provide the control of their claim in a scientific experiment. You would have to provide, well, show us what it was like before. Show us your evidence that things were good before the ranchers started to leave. Absolutely none of that exists. They just spewed out pro-rancher propaganda. This is the world we live in now, where even friends of nature have been purchased by the livestock industry. This is your visual evidence. And I've documented the hell out of Point Reyes National Seashore. So I have all the footage I need. I'll go back and get some more, but I have all the footage I need that every time you go onto ranch land, you start finding this garbage. And this garbage. And this garbage. A year ago, I hiked down that hill over there, down to Kirby Cove Beach. And as I went down, I was documenting the variety of native plants working together, including, but not limited to, coyote brush. Very similar to what I've documented here. I want to spend a little bit more time talking about why I documented the different native plants interacting with each other on the Marin Headland side last year. Sadly, Audubon Canyon Ranch had come out with a plan to remove coyote brush and to reintroduce cattle grazing. And I was very upset about it. And it was such upsetting news that some people didn't believe that it was true and lashed out at me. Turns out it was true. Coyote brush is not invasive. Like, even if you don't like it, forget the fact that it's native, which it is. It's native and very beneficial. It does not have an invasive nature. Everywhere I've gone in California, coyote brush allows other plant life. It's a harmonious situation. It's not one plant dominating and turning the entire area into a monoculture of just that plant species. That's not what happens. And if we go to the East Bay, some of the examples I've looked at there, where there's almost no native plants left thanks to grazing, and there's a handful of coyote brush plants. Well, those plants are either staying the same or diminishing. If they were in fact invasive, you would think that they'd be taking advantage of the fact that all the other natives are gone and they would rush and spread and, engage in an invasive manner by taking over the hillside. Instead, every single time that the grazing program comes through, it kills back even more of the coyote brush, leaving nothing but the invasive annual grasses. It's another form of evidence that coyote brush is not invasive. The other form of evidence is that areas like this, where there isn't cattle grazing and there isn't human interference, and the coyote brush could take over, it still doesn't. It's working nicely with the other plants. When these ranchers, who have been so prevalent in the news lately, talking about the problem of the area going to crap without the stewardship of ranchers, they are literally talking about preventing the beauty that I'm showing you in these videos. They are literally talking about promoting all of those problem plants that I showed you, whom they are responsible for. Shame on Bay Nature Magazine for saying the exact opposite of what is true. Shame on these ranchers for calling themselves stewards of the land while destroying the land, while promoting problem plants, while hating nature, while finding no value in nature and only finding value in their commodity products. Their commodity products, of course, being beef and dairy. And beef and dairy required the destruction of nature to be replaced with the grasses that those ranchers want to feed to their cattle. How dare you say that these people are nature friendly? I don't know what's worse, the ranchers who self-declare themselves as stewards, or the people who blindly anoint them with the title of stewards. I haven't spoken much about grasses, but they are here. And usually when I talk about grasses, I'm talking about them in a negative sense because they're usually annual, non-native European agricultural grasses. In this case, we have blue wild rye, which is native and is perennial. Notice that despite it nearly being June, this is green and rather healthy looking. And even the seeds on the head here, unlike the non-native grasses, don't look like they're trying to hurt you or hurt your dog. once again, intermixed with coyote brush, California blackberry, figwort. Everything's working together. Oh, look what we have here. Once again, interweaving with coyote brush, California lilac, blue blossom. Not blossoming at the moment, but beautiful, beautiful purple flowers. Let's also talk about what these plants are providing for birds up here. The habitat, the hiding places, the food, the shelter. And then let's go down here and start looking at other creatures benefiting from shelter and habitat. Every time you hear idiots like the people planning the destruction of the Tamales Bay forest talk about health, they're saying these things from a very disconnected, non-nature standpoint. This is health. You know, they use their nice words to try and convince naive people that what they're doing is good. But the bottom line is there's almost no ecological consideration involved. The suffering, the immediate suffering that multiple species are going to go through because of the plan to destroy a healthy forest hasn't even come up in conversation. Isn't even addressed in the promotion of that destructive plan. Kind of exciting, at least for, I guess I'm just gonna have to call myself a plant nerd at this stage, but this is Pacific false bindweed. Never seen it before. Here it is, interweaving with all the other species here. This is just wonderful. It is native. Fantastic. I see the bindweed interspersed here, growing amongst the different plants. It's almost like people hanging up their decorative lights outdoors, or maybe even some Christmas decorations, just a little bit here and a little bit there, enhancing all the other colors. And with the discovery of another plant, I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. Let me know if you did or didn't. But before I cut it off entirely, I should tell you the links to 2 past videos I've done on coyote brush. One was with Laura Cunningham in Point Reyes National Seashore, and then the other one was me talking about Audubon and their destructive plan and their reversion back to cattle grazing and waging war on native plants. And it includes me walking through the Marin headlands and showing the coyote brush, which I have returned annually to see if in fact the coyote brush has taken over, which it has not. Skip ahead to the 10:28 mark of that video if you just want to get to looking at the Marin headlands. One last thing, as long as I have your ear, I started an ecology channel that would be strictly dedicated to talking about ecology. But almost everything of ecological interest ties back into ethics and veganism, because most of the ecological problems we have are based upon the unethical decisions of diets that aren't vegan. So I'm really curious whether people think I should just go ahead and put all of it on this channel, or if you think that there is a good reason to keep it separated. Okay, thank you.